traditionally, Cowpens National Battlefield did a lot of fireworks in the past, and we quit doing the fireworks it's been about 4 years ago now. And so we wanted to find some way still to be able to draw folks out, get them involved and engaged, and understand, you know, what our freedoms are really all about. And you just being out here today puts you in like the top 1% of people that know America's history. Because most of America has no idea that the American Revolution was even fought in the South, right? Okay, so give me some battles that you know of in the American Revolution besides Cowpens and Kings Mountain, because we all know about. Give me a battle from the American Revolution. You back there, Grizzly.
Yorktown.
Yorktown, absolutely. Clinton.
Well, that was
Musgrove Mill.
Yeah, Musgrove Mill.
Okay, great.
Charleston.
What were you going to say?
One behind you, John.
Where at?
Right there.
Lexington and Concord. Where else?
Ramsers Mill.
Ramsers Mill. Okay, some locals, right?
Kelsey's Creek.
Charleston.
Oh my goodness, very local, and she knows her Southern history.
Germantown.
Where?
Germantown.
Germantown.
Blackstocks.
Blackstocks. Okay, you guys are trying to just trick me now.
Guilford Courthouse.
Guilford Courthouse, another great Southern campaign site.
Camden.
Where's that?
Camden.
Camden, all right. So what we have, generally that works in most crowds. This is obviously one of those groups that gets it. But in most crowds, I will hear Concord and Lexington. I'll hear Yorktown. Usually most people say Concord, Lexington, and then Yorktown. And that's basically the entire American Revolutionary War, right? Some might say Saratoga or Bunker Hill or some of those. But the majority of Americans have no idea that it was that the American Revolution was not only fought in the South, but it was really won right here in our backyards, right? These are the turning points. These are the turning points to American freedom. So it's always a thrill for me to be able to help facilitate the reading of the Declaration of Independence. Now, what we do normally is we give out all the roles, different parts of the Declaration of Independence, to the staff members, and then I come in and I'll try to fill in some of the spots with visitors, you know, because sometimes visitors, where's a couple of them? Well, I won't call you out. Sometimes visitors are like, no way, I'm not reading that. They're not going to get up here in front of us. But other times we have great people that just love to be on the stage, apparently, and we really appreciate it. Especially Mr. Hall over there, Counselor Hall. So without further ado, we're going to...
There is some ado.
Oh wait, there is some ado. And our Chief Ranger, Vanessa Smiley, who's a Chief Ranger for the group, we have a group of parks now. A number of years ago, how many of you have been coming here for more than 5 or 6 years, coming to Cowpens? Okay, it used to be Cowpens and 96 were kind of connected, and that was it. And then 3 years ago, Kings Mountain came under the umbrella, and so did the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail. So we've kind of rebranded who we are to get the message out to Americans across the nation and also throughout the National Park Service that we're now the Southern Campaign of the American Revolution Parks Group. So our group of parks really represents bringing the story to America, bringing the story of the Southern Campaign to America. So people come to this and they're like, okay, Cowpens, you would not believe how many people we have come through the door and will ask us who won, the North or the South. Right? The better question is who won? Was it the rebels? And we say yes, it was. So we have this opportunity, this incredible opportunity to really market the Southern Campaign of the American Revolution to America. And one of the people that we've hired to help us do that, to do an amazing job of that, is our Chief of Interpretation, Vanessa Smiley. And she comes to us from another Revolutionary War park. This one's not in the South. But it's an incredibly important site. So she brings a great wealth of knowledge and a whole lot of drive and determination to get this story out. So I'd like to introduce to you Vanessa Smiley, our Chief of Interpretation.
Thank you, John. So yeah, I came down from Morristown National Historical Park. Has anybody been to Morristown? Anybody know where it is? It's in New Jersey. That's about all you need to know. It's in New Jersey. It's not a battlefield, but rather it was a winter encampment. So I like the winters down here a little bit better. A little bit better. So today's reading, one of the things that happened during, or rather before the American Revolution, is towns received the Declaration, received this document, this pamphlet, and they had town readings. So you'd go to the town church, you'd go to the town hall, the town square, and that way the average citizen could hear what this Declaration thing was all about. And there wasn't necessarily one viewpoint that everybody agreed on. So throughout the readings, you would hear comments back from the audience, either for or against the Declaration. Maybe it's something like, "Down with the king!" Or maybe it's, "Long live the king!" So I anticipate that we might have some mixed ideals here today, but let's transfer back into the 18th century. And so I've got a cheat sheet. I'll try to hold this up when you should boo, hiss, or when you should huzzah, but feel free to take liberties on it. If you hear something that one of our wonderful readers says that you either agree with or don't agree with, shout it out. So we've got this, which is for when you are excited about what they're saying. Some people say huzzay. Some of the spellings from the time have it huzzay. Others say huzzah. Your choice. We won't judge you either way. But of course, if you hear something you don't like, maybe some news about the king, practice this with me. 1, 2, 3. That was the boo of the time. Although you're not limited to hiss. You can say boo, what have you. Just keep it family friendly. That's the only rule. Keep it family friendly. We have little kids here. So that's your role in this reading. We have our readers, but we need audience participation because this wasn't just some stale document sitting in an office or sitting in a museum. This was life. This was revolution. This was something exciting that was happening, whether you were for or against the revolution. So I want you guys to participate. All right? Okay.
You want to practice again?
Yeah, let's practice.
How about this one?
All right, let's practice. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
I like it. All right.
Wonderful. So readers, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to step up without tripping over the roots. And I'd like for you to step up over here, and then when you're done, just go around to the back of the line, okay? All right? And make sure, whatever you do, make sure that after we're done here and we leave, you find me because I got something for you, okay? All right. Here we go.
Nice and loud. You got it.
Huzzah! Yeah!
Huzzah!
In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth to separate an equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, and descend to respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation.
Nice and loud. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator in certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, driving just their powers, for the consent of the governed. And whenever the form of the government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and it is to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Present, indeed, we dictate that government long established shall not be changed for the light and transit causes, and accordingly to all expertise has shown, and mankind are more disposed to suffer what evils are sufferable, and to them
and then to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, persuading invariable the same objects evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferings of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, and having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to the candid world.
He has resued his decent to laws, the most winsome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of enmity and pressing enforcement unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and then and when so suspended he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the rights of representation of the legislator, a right inestimable to them and affordable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures.
I think we'd be better off with boom. I
You
can't
can
hear the
say
hisses.
boo. You can say boo. Boo is allowed.
Boo is good.
Boo is good.
Well, bad, but good.
He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly, opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of a new appropriations of lands.
Sounds pretty modern, doesn't it?
He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to assent to the laws for establishing judicial powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil powers.
He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of the states,
Down with the king!
trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent,
Down with the king!
Off with his head.
for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury.
For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. For suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate us for all cases whatsoever.
He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation.
He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known mode of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of the oppressions, we have petitioned for the redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince's character is thus marked by every act which may be defined as a tyrant is unfit to be the rule of a free people.
Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America and General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free independent states, and that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that the free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. And all God's people said,
Amen.
All right, great job, readers. Thank you so much. And you all, how about that, huh? You got a little taste today of what it might have been like, right? 242 years ago, right? Thank you. Who did the math for me? 242 years ago, when we were reading this Declaration of Independence across the burgs and the towns and in the town squares. And you all got to be a part of that today. So remember that. Celebrate it this weekend. It's really what it's all about, right? It's not just about cookouts and fireworks. It's really about how we got to where we are. And that these men and these families and these women and these soldiers 240 years ago fought so that today we could be here celebrating exactly what we're doing now. Yeah. So thank you so much, readers. And like I said, absolutely. How about for the readers, we give 3 huzzahs, all right? Hip, hip. Huzzah! Hip, hip.